Hey, it's Hader, and today I'm joined by Phil, who works in the media industry, and he's worked on Finding Emily and Sex Education. And we're going to be chatting all things film editing. How are you, Phil?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, Hader. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Good.
To start things off, I want to jump right in. What I would love to know is if you were to show an audience the first cut of Finding Emily in comparison to the final cut, what is the thing that would surprise them the most?
Um, that it's really long and boring. I think the first assembly was over 2.5 hours, which is quite long for, I guess, a traditional rom-com. But it had like everything in there. It had additional scenes which were subsequently cut, and it had a different opening, a different ending. We had this really beautiful opening of Owen, sort of starts on this really nice close up on his face and sort of slowly pulls out to reveal him playing on his guitar. And I guess it was trying to trick the audience into believing he was playing for a big audience. And the reveal is that he's just playing for his friend Rhea. And it was really funny, really sweet, but ultimately didn't make it into the final cut because for duration a little bit, but also it was a bit too lopsided for Emily to sort of compete with Owen. So to make it much more even, then we had to sadly lose that. But I think the film's ultimately better for that because we just go straight in.
But I can tell you the final cut is perfect.
Oh, thank you.
So, what I would also really like to point out is that people think film editors are simply just cutting out dialogue and they're just trying to, cut out like pauses here and there. But sometimes the silence really lands. And I was just wondering, how do you let a moment breathe? How do you make that extra few seconds count? And how could it change a scene for you?
Yeah, I guess it sort of it partly is sort of cutting out the silences and all the bad bits, but in a way it's just finding that rhythm and that pace of the scene and the movie as a whole initially, and then if you want to sort of emphasize a certain look, emphasize a certain line, then that's when you can start to let things breathe a bit more, and that's when you can sort of hold on a shot a bit longer or give an extra beat or two before someone's line of dialogue. And that subconsciously lets the audience know that this is important.
What I would love to know is what is quite possibly the hardest decision you've ever had to make as an editor? Is there a specific scene? Is there a specific cut that you really wanted to hold on to, but ultimately you couldn't?
Every job that you do, you have to kill your darlings. I think probably on Finding Emily, it was that opening scene. There was like quite a few really good moments in that. I've got like this sort of hold over it in the assembly stage where it's up to me to do whatever I want to do and cut the scene however I want to cut it. But ultimately, it's not my film. It's Alicia's, it's working titles, it's Focus, it's Olivier, the producer. It's all these people's films. So I basically have to present my sort of best version and then become, for better or worse, a little detached from it. So I don't get too upset when things get cut because they always get cut.
From two of your projects, obviously you've worked on Sex Education and Finding Emily. That balances heartbreak, but also balances comedy really well. What I would love to know is like, how do you make a joke land so effortlessly without cutting away or feeling like you're cutting away too quickly, like giving it that time so the audience can actually laugh?
I got a really good lesson on my first ever TV job, Year of the Rabbit, which I did with Ben Taylor. And during that edit, Matt Berry, who's the lead in that, came into the edit and give his initial thoughts. And I'm really thankful that he did because he gave me like the biggest lesson that I think I have in comedy editing, which is it sounds really simple when you say it out loud. It's basically to let the person deliver their punchline in vision and let their last syllable sort of land in vision before you cut to a reaction or before you cut to a response. If it's in vision, it has a dramatically larger impact on the audience. So I've carried that through from Year of the Rabbit, Sex Ed, Finding Emily, and so on.
I love the answer. What I'd also love to know is like a director goes into production with a vision of the film, and they're not just focused on how it looks, they're focused on the dialogue, the lines, and everything else. What was the relationship like between you and Alicia about building that strong bond to understand where you want to cut scenes, where you don't want to cut scenes, and like if you want to tweak anything?
It's a good question. There's a few different things circling my mind at the moment, swirling around. First is sort of how we started working together. Alicia and I work in commercials as well. So that's how we started. We did like 4 commercials and developed a really good relationship. So we sort of knew how each other worked and got on really well, which I think is probably one of the most important things when you're searching for an editor or searching for a director, is to figure out if you can sit in a room with this person for 8 hours a day. And thankfully on these commercials I could with Alicia. She got offered the film and then was interviewing other editors and wasn't really connecting with them. So we're editing our commercial. She'll go off and do a meeting with someone and come back and say it didn't work or it was okay. And then I would say, what about me? I'd absolutely love to cut your film. And yeah, thankfully managed to trick the producers into hiring me. So
Endings in films, they're really crucial, and if they don't land, that could make it not really successful in the box office. What was the conversation like? How you're going to approach it? If you're going to cut a beat here and there, like how did you approach that with Alicia?
we realized that it was missing just a little bit of comedy as well, which I'm really proud of with this film. There's like throughout the sort of film, it is quite funny as well as romantic. And we decided to sort of inject a bit more comedy into the end as well, to sort of release just a little bit of tension here and there before the sort of the big climax. So that was probably something that we worked on the most, trying to get that balance right. Of course, everyone that you show it to has an opinion about it, so you sort of try and take as much constructive criticism you can to ultimately achieve peak emotional satisfaction.
That's a perfect answer. So, when it comes to watching B-roll and footage for the first time, you can often see, bloopers or just like actors having involuntary facial expressions. Was there a certain quip, a certain scene where you thought, this isn't exactly what we wanted, but I'm gonna use it because it's perfect?
The brilliant thing about Finding Emily in particular, you've got Angourie, who's a former child actor and an absolute pro and a rock as Emily. And you've got Spike, who is kind of the opposite. He's a bit of a wild card and gives you something different each time. And they're both amazing in their own special ways. Yeah, that would probably be the one thing that I would say about what Alicia achieved in this film, is just getting consistency of performances across all the scenes for both Angourie and Spike and everyone else, to be honest. And that's what made my job so much easier, is just to those guys being absolutely spot on every single time.
But finally, what I really want to know though is your favorite rom-com, and you can't pick Finding Emily.
Okay, favorite rom-com. I mean, I grew up on a lot of the sort of the John Hughes sort of rom-coms. There's this really amazing one called Some Kind of Wonderful. 10 Things I Hate About You was a touchstone for this,
Ooh,
which
yes.
is sort of, yeah, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days was another touchstone for this. Yeah, something in that sort of 90s era would be top of the list for me.
I mean, I love all those rom-coms, and I think it's safe to say that rom-coms are officially back, as everyone else said at the preview screening.
They're
It was
back.
just that they are so back. Thank you, Phil, for your time, and I
Thanks,
appreciate
Ada.
all of your answers.
I need to talk about this email, dude.
Is he a sexy pest?
I thought it was quite cute.
Who cares?
This is a culture of toxic masculinity.
I know my brother. He'll be in a field somewhere being all melodramatic. What did I tell you? Probably write a song about it. What if I've misread this whole situation?
You're gonna find someone who gets you. Please don't make me laugh.
I didn't know I could.
If Emily's listening, what do you want to say?
Well, I wrote her a song.
We're getting the song! We're getting the song!
Sing it.